Hello and welcome to the Racing Gambit on the Sports 2.0 network, sponsored by USAWager.com. We have a lot of great racing action taking place this weekend, and we are going to try our best to try and find you some winners at Belmont Park. Obviously, I won't be doing it alone. I'm joined by my partner in crime, Ace. Ace, it's been a long time. How are you doing?
Phenomenal. And everyone complaining about the short fields in this Belmont card, be thankful that all the big guns are coming out, okay? So we have some 5-horse races. Oh, I'm sorry, did you not want to see some of these horses race? Would you rather them skip and go to another grade 1? No, thank you. Let's be thankful that we have the superstars this weekend.
Yeah, that's what it's about. But we'll start with obviously the featured race on Saturday, which is the Belmont Stakes. It's obviously a Belmont Park. It's a grade 1 over 1.5 miles. Ace, I was a bit underwhelmed when I first saw the field, but I must admit I'm growing to. I still think it's a pretty weak renewal of the race, but I think it's definitely a much more fun betting heat than we have seen in previous years.
I completely agree with you. Yes, there aren't any superstars in this race, right? But at the same time, there's no like overwhelming favorite that you're just like, oh, this horse is going to win and then we're moving on from it, you know? So I think the big thing here is you find value somewhere. Who knows who the public's going to be betting because the Preakness was the weirdest anomaly in odds ever. And you kind of just go from there, right? Now, the odds maker did a pretty good job of like not really giving us a heavy favorite and not really giving us that much of a long shot. But I wouldn't really blame you if you landed on 5 or 6 different horses here. Where did you land?
Yeah, so I'm with the filly. Like I said to you earlier in the week, I think I'm just all in on Nest. I just think it makes so much sense. I feel like she needed more. She needed more distance. She was just getting going in the Kentucky Oaks, I thought. And obviously, you look at Top Pletcher. Top Pletcher's record in this race is pretty good. He's got two winners in the past 10 years. And if you go back even further, he obviously had the last filly winner, which was Ragster, which is in 2007. But there's just so much I like about Nest. And obviously I was against her in the Oaks, but I'm very much with her this weekend because I just feel like the distance is just what she needs.
I cannot take a filly against this field, even though it's not a very strong field, a male field, right? I don't know why you would have a female horse running 1.5 miles at Belmont, a super deep track, very sandy. I know I can't say anything bad about Todd Pletcher. Jose Ortiz is a good jock, not a great jock. It's going to be hard, though, to fire because I do think, like, if Nest floats up to 12-1, I don't blame you. Yeah, it's a price. They're all within the same range of, like, skill level. I'm going to go with Creative Minister. He took 3rd in the Preakness behind who I think are pretty good horses, Early Voting and Epicenter. He ran a 101 speed figure. That's back-to-back 101 speed figures. And I think he's going to be the only one that's going to be close enough to the pace to actually do something about the favorite, We the People, who is a deserving favorite only because they're the only speed in the race. Who's going to go with them? Doesn't look like anyone that I can see.
It's interesting you mentioned the speed figures because 8 of the previous 10 winners have had at least one triple digit. I mean, you can obviously presume the ones that have done it from the betting, but only one has done it twice, and that's your guy, Creative Minister. I think the Preakness run was good, and I think that's a good kind of benchmark. I'm tossing and turning a lot on We the People because I go back to the Arkansas Derby, and that was his first attempt in a grade 1, and he just kind of fell to pieces. Obviously, he routed Denny in the Peter Pan last time out at Belmont Park, and that's probably why he's favourite, I'm guessing.
I agree. And you know what? I'm honestly thinking, even from what we've seen, maybe we should just throw the Arkansas Derby out as a race in general this year. I mean, Secret Oath took 3rd and looked terrible doing it. Cyberknife won, showed nothing in the Derby. Barber Road coming back, probably not a very good horse in this race. I wouldn't be taking them at any price. Maybe we just throw that out and say it was a really oddly run race. Some people like it, some people didn't like it. It is what it is, right? But it seems like they were washy, that they were probably just, it was a hot day, right? And maybe they just didn't take well to it. Not going to be the case in Belmont. Temps are going to be mild. I agree with you. It's hard to be all like, oh, I'm going to take a horse that took 7th and they're only grade 1 as the 1-to-1 favorite going into this race, or 2-to-1 favorite. But
I think
really
it's
also to say, like, Flavian's going to go to the lead, and I don't know if anyone can catch this horse.
that's the thing, isn't it? Like, I think because the majority of the field are closers as well, ain't they? So he could be gone.
He could be completely gone. But at 2-to-1, it's hard to take.
Yeah, it's hard to take, especially when you got a question mark about it. I mean, we've got this far, and we haven't even mentioned Rich Strike yet.
No. So the Derby winner is not going to win this race. I know that his workouts look good and everyone's hyping him up. Public, please come back him. Just make him the favorite. Then I'll feel better taking We the People. But yeah, no, thank you. That was a fluke of all flukes.
I know, but it's one of them, isn't it? Because you're going to be kind of in two camps, aren't you, this weekend? There's going to be people that believe it was a fluke and it's never ever going to happen again, and people that are going to kind of support the fairy tale to repeat.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a very strange. I mean, he'll probably be a very popular winner if he managed to do it.
Correct. And if he does, then hey, it sets up for some pretty good summer 3-year-old races, I think. But I really hope they don't break this horse making it go a mile and a half, which tends to happen from time to time when you run these horses this distance, you know? So at the end of the day, you're going Nest, and I'm going Creative Minister?
Yes, that's the one.
Okay.
So we'll move on to what I think is probably the best race of the whole day. The Ogden Phipps, which is the grade 1 over 1 1/16 miles, and this is a star-studded affair. You've got Latruska, Malathat, Claire, and Search Results. I mean, this is the highest of grade 1s, isn't it? This, like, you could have this at the Breeders' Cup and you wouldn't blink.
Yes, and I'm a little sad that it's a little earlier in the card than I expected, but I get it, right? And then here we go. Everyone, there's only 5 horses in this race. How terrible. These are 5 really good horses. Some great horses. Yeah, you got Malathat taking on Older with Latruska. You got Bonnie South, who always seems to finish right there. Claire, who can turn it on when necessary at lower levels. And Search Results won a grade 2 last out at Belmont. This is a crazy race. Who are you looking at?
I was kind of really all over the place with this one because obviously I feel like we both have kind of like a love for Malathat.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I need to go with Latruska here. I just feel like it's the obvious one. So obviously, she was so good on her return as well, wasn't she? Where she got a figure of 111, beating Claire Air as well. And I just think it's the obvious one, isn't it? Like, why avoid the obvious?
I'm with you. And the big question too, again, here in this race, where's the speed going to come from that's gonna push her out and actually make her work for it? And I don't see it. And so from that perspective, I think Latruska's a lock. It's going to be short odds, but I'll take Malathat for second for sure.
Yeah, like you said about Search Results as well, winning at Belmont. I think that could be potentially the kind of interesting angle here. Obviously, because she got a figure of 104 in the Ruffian, and she could kind of be there, and she did win the Acorn last year. So I'm trying to tempt myself into kind of a bit of value as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the one, like, no offense to Malathat and no offense to Claire, right? Unless they want to really show some speed. But you got Irad Ortiz, who I think is the best jockey in America, going to be stalking from the outside, right? And second, just following Latruska all the way around. Who says in that long, big stretch that they can't just mow him down at the end, right? Mm-hmm. And at odds around 5-6 to 1, I think it's a nice value play. They're two for 2 at Belmont. And, they did win the Ruffian, and they have some 100 buyer speed figures, but it's hard going against the best in the world. But this is going to be a great race if you pick right.
Yeah. But are we both landing on Latruska?
Latruska, yeah, no one else is going to go with it for early speed, so it'll be a carousel the whole way around.
So next up, we got the Metropolitan Handicap, which is over a mile with a $1 million purse. And we're going to see the current favourite for the Breeders' Cup Classic here with Flightline. Obviously, this is his big return, isn't it? So what are you kind of expecting from him this weekend?
I'm expecting Flightline to win, and I expect Flightline to win easily. And if this horse, like, I'm so thankful that Speaker's Corner is deciding to challenge here. I'm so excited that Aloha West is in this race. Happy Saver, great story, but always loves to finish second. But 3 wins here at Belmont, and Informative is the one that you can completely toss out. But in all honesty, Flightline's speed figures are ungodly. They're ungodly. And listen, I know that they're going to be going a mile for the first time. I don't think it matters at all. Not one bit. This horse is special. This is the single of all singles. And I'm just excited to see this horse run.
Yeah, I was looking at the figures earlier. The 126 on a Malibu Stakes is just ridiculous. Like, that is mad. Obviously, people will look at Speaker's Corner here because Flightline has been out for a while now. And obviously, you had Speaker's Corner won the Carter handicap last time out with a figure of 115. So I think you could potentially, like, I feel like Flightline probably doesn't have to be 100%, but like maybe about 75%, he still has to be kind of on it, I think, because Speaker's Corner is no mug.
Flightline ran 22, 44, and 108 in their last race. And then their last workout coming in was 4 furlongs and 46 seconds. This horse, they don't ask horses to run in workouts, and this horse is that fast. I think Flightline is a super single. I don't think you're going to get anywhere near good odds on him, but it's going to be a great race to watch.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Flightline. But could you see him going to the Classic at the end of the year? Because I see he's the favourite, but that's another step up in trip again, isn't it?
I think they're going to try and extend him out. So they're going to run him at a mile here. The next grade 1 will probably be a mile and a 16th. And then maybe they'll try him at the Classic distance, right? But they got to get there first. They got to build in his 4-year-old season and see if the distances are right for him. But I do think the second he loses, they cut back. I think they go back to the sprints, and I don't blame him one bit.
Yeah, I mean the Breeders' Cup's already looking quite interesting in it because you got Jack Christopher on the card as well on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So you could argue the best 3-year-old isn't even in the Belmont Stakes.
That's true. That's very true.
So next up, we've got the Acorn Stakes, which is another grade 1, over a mile for the girls this time. And this is the return of Echo Zulu, who was, I'd like to say, I feel like the Oaks may become a little bit too soon for her. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I just think realistically, I mean, I never really try and hold a race like that against someone. Like, oh, they didn't show up in the Derby or the Oaks. Oh well, like it's a unique race. It's a unique, everything about it is weird. So I don't really blame anyone if they didn't show up in that race, But in all honesty, right? How do you pick against her here? I can't. I looking at like who's coming in here, like Metayera is an interesting horse. Flavian's on board. They won the 8 Bells, on Oaks Day. But otherwise, right? Like you just say, hey, the Oaks wasn't her day, and you move on and say she's probably going to be ready for this one, and she's probably going to roll.
Yeah, I think the Oaks came just a bit too soon. I still think she's a very, very talented horse, and a bit like Flightline, I don't think she has to be 100% to win this. I think she could kind of jog around and she'll still get there ahead of anyone else.
Yeah, it's very true, and I'm probably going to go to Matayera Echo Zulu box. Those are my two favorites in here. What really surprises me is that it's not Pletcher's entering a maiden in this race with Inventing with Irad Ortiz Jr. taking back-to-back seconds in maiden special weights, and now they're entering them in the stakes against some of the best horses of the 3-year-old group in a Grade 1. I'm not saying they know something. I'm just saying it's pretty interesting that this horse landed here.
They're just making up the numbers, I think.
Yeah, well, possibly, but at the same time, right? Like, you got Irad Ortiz and Todd Pletcher. The horses run 2 speed figures in the 90s. Yes, they've taken second twice, but who knows, right? Belmont's a very different track than Churchill and Gulfstream Park. They might have what it takes.
Yeah, we'll have to find out, but I think I'll be sticking with Echo Zulu there.
Yeah, Echo Zulu, and I'll take Metiera just in that box. It's not going to pay much, but that's maybe the only way I'll be making money that day on this one.
So last up, we've got the Manhattan Stakes, which is a bit more of a betting affair, this one, I think. It's over 1 1/4 miles, obviously the graded race on the turf. I feel like this is definitely the most competitive betting race that we've looked at, especially today. But Chad Brown has a very, very good record in this. He's won the last 3 and he's won 6 of the previous 8. He's got more than a few chances in here this weekend as well. But are you sticking with the Brown horse or are you sticking with elsewhere?
I think I'm actually going to go elsewhere, but I just want to make sure the Manhattan, correct? That's what
we're the Manhattan Stakes.
I'm going to go against him. He has more than, I think he's got 4 horses in this field, right? Like, I honestly think that Santon with Tyler Gaffalione and Brendan Walsh is a horse that's always there. They won the Turf Classic last time out of Churchill Downs at 7-1. They took second to 2 Emmys, like a good, like 4th by a half length in a Grade 3, and then second in the Hollywood Derby, another Grade 1, right? They're always right there, and I think like I don't want someone who's coming all the way from the back of the field in this race, because I think a lot of horses are going to be coming in from the back of the field. I want someone who's going to be up first run. I think that's Santon. Who did you like?
Yes, I was trying to look for a bit of value in here, and I kind of landed on Rock Emperor. I think he was pretty disappointed in the Port Marcy last time out, but he does have a pretty good record at Belmont. He's 3 from 5, including 2 wins over this distance, and he did win over 1.5 miles in the Joe Hirsch Classic as well last year, beating Gufo, I think is going to probably go our favourite. And around 10-1, I could definitely take a chance.
Yeah, how do you not take a chance on a Chad Brown, Irad Ortiz turf horse at 10-1, right? It's always going to be the other Chad Brown that's going to win. And yeah, so he didn't show up last time out, right? He seems to have a pattern of hit or miss races here or there. But he's always right there. And like, he's already won a Grade 1 at Belmont. What more could you ask for, right?
It's always the Belmont form for me. That's what I've been kind of looking for. Because I feel like Belmont plays slightly differently. So I feel like you'd have to be looking for horses that know how to win at Belmont.
Doesn't it look like when you watch a race at Belmont that coming down the stretch, everyone looks like they're running in quicksand? It literally looks like they're running in slow motion. It's like, what happened here? And it's just the surface. It's just the way it looks. Like, you know what I mean? The way it kicks up the sand, it's like everyone's just moving through the Sahara Desert or something.
So we're going to round off the night. Best bets for the weekend?
Best bet for the weekend. You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to put it in an exacta. Creative Minister and We the People in the Belmont Stakes. Stick with the big race. I think it's a carousel. I hope Creative Minister can get up in the final stretches, but I'm going to take Creative Minister and We the People exacta box.
Yeah, I might go for a bit of a treble, I think, with Echo Zulu, Flightline, and Latruscu. It's probably not going to pay you a great deal, but it's probably going to be a winner.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm really interested to see how I'm going to play the pick 3s, pick 4s, pick 5s, and pick 6s. I'll probably play a bigger just chalk ticket with all those winning. But then at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, you catch a price anywhere. we might really be coming out on top. So here's to just some great racing. How about that? Some great racing this weekend.
Got to sit back and enjoy it all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for your time, Ace, and thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week for a look at the racing. Probably looking at Royal Ascot because that's next week, and Wesley Ward's got a couple of runners.
Oh yeah.
Until then, have a great weekend. Enjoy the Belmont Stakes, and have a good luck.
Like and subscribe.